Welcome in, Tiger fans. If you're watching the show, you may have noticed a different intro as this our normal Wednesday talk. However, we have a treat for you tonight. First off, Jason, you are looking a little jet lagged or tired. I for those that may not have known, where were you last night?
Chapel Hill, and I am taking full 100% credit for that win last night. Bar none, I'm taking full credit. Walked right out onto that court before the game, christened that net from 14 foot out, took the lid off of it. You are welcome, Clemson fans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In case you missed it, the Tigers, went to number 3 North Carolina and came away with a win. Yeah. Honestly, I was kind of thinking that, yeah, yeah, that, oh, Coach Ryan, they have like shown the team our little TikTok there, put up earlier in the day, with you just ranting and raving about how this team couldn't finish and they were, struggling. I think, he may have shown that little clip and they use that and fire them up.
Yeah, that did not age very well, huh? I was thinking the same thing this morning. I ran across, I said, yeah, that did not age well at all.
Yes, sir.
I have very, very different looking Clemson team last night. Absolutely, they went out and finished. I thought they played much crisper on the offensive side. There was a lot more movement. It wasn't as, stagnant with guys kind of standing around waiting on something to happen. They were aggressive, a lot of motion, a lot of movement. They were making things happen instead of somebody else waiting on somebody else to make a play. You know, big win, jumped 6 spots in the net rankings. Something they can build off of as they head up to Syracuse this weekend.
Yeah, I think, the shot that I look back on, I go, that was the shot of the game. Was Joseph Girard's step back 3. There, I think UNC had cut to 2 or 3, and then he came right down the court, and came off a screen and got the and took a drill, backwards onto the Roy Williams logo, and then just let it fly.
Yeah, that was a big time shot. Girard played much better last night. Did in the loss against North Carolina earlier in the season when Clemson went 1 of 18 for 3. PJ Hall gets a lot of the attention from last night because he led the team in scoring, but Girard had 20 plus 2, man, and he was dynamite from beyond the arc. And that's the kind of performance they need if they want to have success. He's the guy that's going to have to make things happen from behind, from the perimeter. That's what he was brought in to do. And when he can hit those shots, good things happen.
Yeah, exactly. And how about Ian Shefflin? I mean, he just continues to go out there and do the scrappy, dirty job. He is, constantly. I think he is actually leading the ACC in offensive rebounding. So he is, the glue or something that is holding this team together. He is always on the floor, always around the ball. So I don't think he gets near enough credit.
Yeah, he had his 5th double-double last night. I mean, he's got an argument for most improved player in the league this year. I mean, he's just taking that kind of leap. Um, yeah, I agree. I think he's kind of the glue that holds everything together. He does all the dirty work down low. He's a constant on the glass, particularly on the offensive end. And those some of those second chance points last night came up big.
Yes, sir. Well, the question everyone's going to have is, can the Tigers, keep this momentum heading into Syracuse? That is traditionally a tough place to go up and get a win. You saw UNC come out there in emotional win against Duke, and they had the letdown last night. So, I guess, what do you want to see out of this team as we head into Saturday?
I want to see some of the same things I saw last night, on the offensive end. Just a lot more movement. I thought there was better flow offensively than there has been at times in recent weeks. And I want to see them win back-to-back games in the league for the first time all year, something they've not been able to do yet. They're still looking for that. I know last night was a big win, but there's still work to be done. You're going to have to win probably 6, 7 more games down the stretch to get in, or really cement yourself as in and not be on the bubble. So I mean, Saturday's another big one coming up. They've I know they won last night and that was a big win, but they've kind of dug themselves in a little hole and they have not completely dug themselves out yet.
Yes, sir. Well, as fans of this town and fans of the Cy Clemson Tigers, no, we are huge baseball guys. We have really, I think, been counting down the days to next Friday since the end of football season. So, you had the unique opportunity earlier today to actually talking with Erik Bakich, head coach at Clemson. So before we get to that interview, just give me your top line thoughts on him on season 2 and the expectations.
He makes no bones about the expectations. His expectations are to get to Omaha. He says that. He said that last year. He says it again this year. We talked about that a little bit today and what it was going to take to get over the hump. He says it's coming, that Clemson's going to get back to Omaha, and he kind of likened it to when Jack Leggett took over, when he got to Omaha the first time, and then several trips followed behind that. He says he has every expectation of that happening again. He thinks Clemson is a baseball program that should have the expectations of making it to Omaha every single season. He thinks this team, 1 through 40 is probably the deepest he's had. Not sure about the rotation yet because that College World Series team he had at Michigan had 3, I think, second-round picks in the starting rotation. So he says, from a rotation standpoint, it's still to be determined. But, if you're looking at that roster, top to bottom, spots 1 through 40, it's the most depth he's had. A lot of returning experience, a lot of guys that have started games. There's probably going to be guys that could start that aren't going to start because there's only 4 spots, 3 on the weekend, 1 in the midweek. But he also said that, that's going to lessen the load on some of these starters. They're not going to be relied on to have to go 6, 7 innings per start. they'll be able to go to somebody in the bullpen because that pen's going to be deep. They're going to have more options than they did last year, and he thinks that's going to help them this year. As far as getting Omaha, he says it's all about getting us hot at the right time and sustaining it. There was nobody hotter than Clemson at the end of the year last year. He said it today. They just weren't able to execute in those 9th and 10th innings to get over that hump, but he fully expects they're going to get over that hump, and it doesn't sound like he thinks it's going to be in the distant future either.
That is, great news to Tiger fans. So let's dive in. Let's hear from Erik Bakich from earlier today, right here on Clemson Tigers.
Baseball season is upon us. Opening day is just over a week away, and today all Clemson Tigers has a very special guest, Clemson head baseball coach Erik Bakich. Hey, Coach, how you doing today?
Hey, Jason, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to join us today. I know you guys got to be busy up there with opening day so close.
Yeah, we're plugging away.
So your team was so close to getting out of the regional round, last year. How have they used that experience and the way it ended to maybe fuel them over the offseason?
It just left a very bitter taste in their mouth. So I didn't really have to say much. They came into the fall very humble, but also very hungry, and just fueled a success that we saw in a lot of areas of fall ball that aren't necessarily measured, with a scoreboard, but just the way they attack their academics, community service, just our training on a daily basis. This isn't a group that you have to coach attitude or effort with. They're just very driven, and it just looked like a team that was on a mission to put in the work and do what it takes in order to earn the opportunity to get hot at the end, because that is something that definitely has to be earned. Just doesn't happen. And so this group just felt like they had a high level of belief in doing all the little things to be that team that has a chance to be the last team standing. So they're a fun bunch to be around. I enjoy them a lot. They're about all the right things. We've got a lot of depth, and I'm excited to watch them compete, here not only today, but every day.
Yeah, speaking of that depth, you've got a lot of that, a lot of experience returning. How does this roster shake up from a depth standpoint compared to some of the others you've had in the past, maybe up there at Michigan?
Probably the most total depth, 1 to 40. Some of those Michigan teams, our 2019 rotation were 3 second rounders Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I guess that's TBD, but I do think we have a lot of very talented players. And sometimes it's not always that superstar, it's the guys that, have a lot of talent, but very, very talented from the neck up as well, that form the team. So it's not always about having that, that top end guy, but, having a very balanced pitching staff, very balanced lineup. So that's what this feels like. I do think we have some guys who have a chance to, kind of be that high draft pick or that superstar, quote unquote, superstar. But it feels much more balanced than that. Where 1 through 9, the lineup is good, and every pitcher that's going to go into the game is, there's no one that's going into the game that's a liability. Not that they're, somebody might not, have a perfect ERA, but it just feels like that. It feels like with a combination of experience plus talent, there's a lot of options there. And that's not even counting the freshmen. There's a couple of freshmen positionally and a few freshmen on the mound that we're going to have to find some opportunities for them as well, because they're very skilled. They're just probably going to start out behind some of the older guys.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you about, some of the freshmen that have stood out so far in the preseason.
Yeah, positionally, Jaron Purify and Devin Parks are going to be household names with Clemson baseball in the future. They are dynamic and explosive and have that ability to. We're gonna, that might happen sooner rather than later. And then you got a few freshman arms that look like future weekend starters with Aiden Canuck, Drew Titsworth, Justin Legurnick. Then you got some guys that are going to also contribute this year, left-handers like Jacob McGovern, that just, that are going to form a nucleus of a pitching staff in the future that's going to be, poised to be good for a long time.
You have a lot of pitchers in that rotation that started games for you last year or have started games elsewhere. How is your rotation shaping up as we get closer to opening day?
Oh, good question. So we've got, we're looking at 6 or so guys right now that are kind of in the mix to be the weekend starters opening weekend, with Austin Gordon and Tristan Smith and Billy Barlow, Joe Allen, Matt Marshall, someone else I'm forgetting. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. You got guys that are all deserving, and figuring out how we're going to kind of manage that rotation. It may be one of those years where we don't have to necessarily rely on a starter to go 6 or 7 innings. We can use a couple of guys to get to the 7th inning. And then we feel so good about our back end. I mean, that may be where we're deepest, is guys with proven experience in high leverage situations at the back of the game. With Nick Clayton and Rob Hughes and Reed Garris from last year's team that all pitched in high leverage situations, to transfer Lucas Malstad, who came in with Matt Marshall from Wofford. They had a coaching change, so we were able to get those 2 guys over here. So, I mean, and that's not even counting a lot of the freshmen that I already mentioned, and guys like Rocco Reed and plenty of others that are all vying for innings and competing for innings on this pitching staff.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to have more options in the bullpen, compared to what you had a year ago. Who are some of the guys competing to maybe fill that closer's role now that Ryan Ammons has moved on?
Those 4 guys I just mentioned, Nick Clayton, Reed Garris, Rob Hughes, and Lucas Malstad. Those guys have all pitched in high leverage or closer type situations in the past. Those guys were thrust into that role last year when Ammo was hurt for a while, and they did very well. All of their numbers are very good. So gives us a lot of cautious optimism going into this year that, between those 4 guys and others, that we'll be able to maybe shorten the game a little bit and not be so reliant on a starter that has to go 7 innings, or so reliant on one guy who's got to pitch 2-3 innings in relief.
So you make no bones about it. You set the expectation every year you want to get to Omaha. What has to happen in order for you guys to make that deep of a run, to kind of get over that regional drought this program's experienced since 2010?
Yeah, I mean, Clemson baseball should be a team that expects to go to Omaha. There's a handful of schools out there that should say that as well. But 12 trips to Omaha, including 6 from the Coach Leggett era from 1995 to 2010, to make 6 trips in that span. There's an expectation among fans and college baseball enthusiasts that that's Clemson baseball in the modern era. And so to have a 13-year drought of going to Omaha, that's just too long for a program like this, because nobody's lowered the standards. No one's lowered the expectations. That just the expectations haven't been met. And we've been to some regionals in that time, but in order to get out of it, you just got to get hot at the right time. I mean, nobody was hotter in college baseball than Clemson baseball last year going into the regionals. But it just goes to show you that in regional format, anything can happen because it's the most unpredictable tournament of the year. You don't know, what the teams are, but you don't know if you're playing who you're playing because it's based on the winner of the other or the loser of the other game. You could have, you could have rain. Times could be adjusted. I mean, it's a lot of, it's not like you're going into a weekend series and you planning out the time schedule and your opponent. It's just not like that. So there's that variable of the unknown, which factors in, but it's the same for all the regionals. So that's not an excuse. There are no excuses. It's just, you got to get hot at the right time, and you just got to hope that you have put in enough that you can catch some breaks and find a little bit of luck, but be fortunate enough to be one of those teams that's earned the opportunity to get hot at the end. And we were hot. We just didn't execute. That's the other thing. You got to execute. And for whatever reason, we weren't able to close that game out in the 9th inning, and we weren't able to, do enough offensively to score that run in the bottom of the 10th when we had bases loaded, nobody out. So we have no one to blame but ourselves. And ultimately, it's just going to happen. I mean, it's just going to happen. We're just going to get over the hump. The program's going to get back to Omaha, and then that'll set off a tidal wave of, this program, kind of like how it was with Coach Leggett when he went 6 times in those first, 15, 16 years. And it'll be like that again, where the idea is that Clemson baseball's in Omaha more than it's not. But you got to earn it. And it takes what it takes. And it takes an entire staff of coaches, staff members, takes an administration, takes players, takes everyone that is just 100% all in all the time. And that's what we've got. We just got to do it.
Well, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy day to talk to us, Coach. Good luck this season. And we'll see you at the ballpark.
All right, Jason. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks, Coach.
So that was your interview with Erik Bakich. And like you say, he just exudes confidence, and that, there is a, release on his part that this team has what it takes to not only get over the regional hump, but to make it to Omaha.
Yeah, he absolutely does. I have always thought from day one this was a home run hire. You don't have to spend very much time with him to realize he's just the right guy in the right spot and what feels like the right time. This program's not made it out of a regional since 2010, and this fan base is kind of starved for some of the success they experienced in those days under, Jack Leggett and Bill Wellham. And it's been a while, and he knows it's been a while, and he fully believes that they're very close to kind of breaking that drought, getting over that hump. And he thinks that's just the first step in, getting back a lot.
Yeah, the running joke has been for a while that Clemson needs to take Omaha off the back of their hats and just put super regionals on there. However, you listen to him, and he is embracing everything that the Clemson brand stands for, the history of the program. So I like you. I think he is a home run hire. I think that this season is going to be an exciting one for Tiger fans. And honestly, I can't wait to get to the uh, the stadium here in Erie and just see this team guy put on a show.
Yeah, I've got high expectations for this team. I've watched them scrimmage a few times now, and I think this lineup's going to be really good. You got a lot of options in that pitching staff, a lot of experienced options. There's a good mix of veterans and youth. There's some really good freshmen on this team with Jaden Purify, Devin Parks, Aiden Knock, just to name a few. So you got that good blend. I think this team's poised to make a very deep run.
Absolutely. So hopefully you have enjoyed this special edition of the Wednesday Hot Talk. As always, we appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. Yeah, it helps us out a lot to get these videos out to y'all. And just so you're aware, next Monday, Jason will be back here live for Monday Live at 7 o'clock. Then next Thursday, we are having our baseball free show, and that is going to be at 7 o'clock. Then you can also mark your calendars every Friday. Before the home games, Jason will be live from the stadium. So, make sure that you have the little notification icon click so you never miss a video. And so, Jason, I appreciate you making the trip, up to Chapel Hill and getting that victory for the Tigers. And I am sure that Ronell and his guys will be looking for a video from you next Saturday.
I'm telling you, I'm taking all the credit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, as always, thank you all for joining us tonight on a special edition of Hot Talk. Yeah, we couldn't do it without you, and the reason that we continue to do this.